Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Movie Review, episode 116. This time I'm reviewing the third film of the original films for X-Men. This is X-Men: The Last Stand, released in 2006. Yep, and in case you're wondering, no, Bryan Singer does not reprise his position as the director. Yeah, he actually left the X-Men film series to do Superman Returns and took James Marsden with him. He's in the film briefly. Yeah, I'll get to him soon. Mostly if everybody reprising their roles, though they do some stupid stuff with these characters. This movie is directed by Brett Ratner, the guy who directed the Rush Hour movies. Yes, and because what happened with this movie, the guy only directed 3 films after this. He directed Rush Hour 3, which I thought was a pretty okay movie. Tower Heist, that was really good. And the last one being Hercules with the frickin' Rock. Yep. Aside from the Rush Hour films, the only other film I've seen of his he actually has directed, this is Brett Ratner. He's not the same guy who directed Dark Phoenix. No, this is not the same guy. The only other films I've seen of his, aside from this film, Tower Heist, and the 3 Rush Hour films, is I've seen Family Man and Red Dragon. Yes, the movie that's based upon a book featuring Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. So, at least that shows a competent director. Though at least he had some pretty good credits under his belt. Though, like I said, he only did 3 films after this. Next one we did the following year, Rush Hour 3 in 2007. Tower Heist in 2011, which came out 4 years later. This was the last time I saw of his years. I didn't see Hercules, but Tower Heist, in my opinion, was really good. It starred, I believe it was Eddie Murphy, I believe it was, yes. And this, by far, was a great film to watch. It had a fantastic cast. Like, you have Ben Stiller, Eddie Murphy, who's actually one of the producers in the film, Matthew Broderick. Yeah, overall, really good film. I thoroughly enjoyed the film. This is the last time I actually saw Brett Ratner in theaters. Yeah, it's something, though, the fact that, well, the fact that this is the last time I saw in theaters for him. This, by far, for me, for the X-Men films, this is the first film I saw in theaters. And apparently, of the 3, this is the one that had the best opening weekend from what I heard. Yes. Apparently, the first 2 X-Men films did not have a good opening weekend. They made good buck, but this by far had the biggest opening weekend out of all 3 films. Which is interesting compared to what the story of the film was. I have no problem with Brett Ratner directing. The way the direction of the film went, I'd say the acting was actually pretty good. And I think Brett Ratner was basically doing the best he was given. He had nothing to do with the script at all. The script itself was written by Simon Kinberg and Zach Wren. Yes, Simon Kinberg, a guy who's been associated with the X-Men films. So at least you have a guy who was basically, well, familiar with the franchise writing the damn script. Yeah, he wrote the script for this film. This is actually the first one he did. He also did produce First Class, he wrote Days of Future Past, and he wrote Apocalypse. Yeah, but I don't think he actually did. I don't think it, as far as I can tell for Dark Phoenix, I think he wrote it, but I don't think he directed it. No, it was somebody else. Let's see, Dark Phoenix. He did. Yeah, he directed it. Yep. Though from what I heard about Dark Phoenix, it's worse in this film. Now, who makes the first live-action appearance in this movie? Well, we have the Juggernaut. Yeah, this is him right here. That's the Juggernaut in this movie. Played by Vinnie Jones. And, well, apparently he's one of those actors that are afraid to cover up his damn face. Yes. We also get the first proper appearance of the Beast. Who plays him? Believe it or not, under that makeup, it's frickin' Kelsey Grammer. Which, I gotta say, he is fantastic as the Beast. And here's the thing. One of 2 times he's played this character. The only other time he played him was Days of Future Past. It's kind of like, why the heck would you wait for this character to actually properly make an appearance. I mean, there was plans to put him in the first 2 films, but they cut him for some reason. Also, I at least got to appreciate this film for doing this, that we actually have Colossus having a role. Because in the previous film, you see him for like one scene, beats up a couple soldiers, and then leads some of the students off to escape from the Weapon X soldiers, and he's never seen again. In this film, he's properly put on the team. We also have Kitty Pryde get replaced. Yes. Different actors this time. Yeah, Kitty Pryde went through like 3 different actresses this film. This film, she's played by Ellen Page. And she's started a relationship with Bobby Drake, despite the fact he was already in a relationship with Rogue. It's implied that that the relationship may have gone soft or at least gone sour. It's not thoroughly explained. Oh, in case you're wondering, prior to this film, has Bobby Drake or even Kitty Pryde ever become a couple? The answer is no. These two have never become a couple before. They did not become a couple until like 2010. Yeah, they didn't become a couple until like Jason Aaron started his run in Wolverine X-Men. So, yeah. That part of the movie is completely untrue. Yeah, Bobby Drake was noteworthy for years to go through a string of different girlfriends. Like he dated Polaris, he dated, of course, Kitty Pryde, obviously. He also had sex with Mystique, which is something he's embarrassed about. I mean, he'll admit being in a relationship with all these other women, but he's embarrassed that he was in a relationship with Mystique of all people. Yep, and this is also the second last time you'll see the actress who plays Mystique played the character, because she reprised the role of the character one more time first class, and that's the last to see of Rebecca Romaine. Yep, and she's not in this movie very much. Nope. Yeah, the movie opens up with Angel. Yep, making his first live action appearance, and he does nothing the whole film. You see him beginning try to trim down his frickin' wings. Now, I get the fact he's trying to hide his wings, which that part is true from the comic books. And the way his father is portrayed in the movie, it's kind of like Warren Warrington the Jr. is portrayed as the guy who tried to develop a cure. Yes, they adapted 2 different storylines in this movie. They adapted the Dark Phoenix Saga very poorly, and we also had adaptation of the Gifted storyline loosely, which came out actually a couple years prior to this one coming out. Yeah, where we have a mutant cure. Oh, by the way, where is the cure being developed? Frickin' Alcatraz! I'm like, okay, interesting place to develop it. I mean, at least it's a place no one would drive up to, which gotta praise it for that. After the opening scene, Angel's seen once again, like at the Xavier Institute, and he just shows up, shares a scene with a couple people, and then he disappears for the rest of the movie, and he saves his father, and that's the last to see of him. It's kind of like, okay, we finally have all 5 original X-Men in the movie, but here's the thing about this. And this is something I do agree with Erod with. The original 5 X-Men have never shared the screen together. At all. We've had Jean Grey, we've had Cyclops, and Iceman share the screen together. Angel has shared the screen with frickin' nobody. Heck, at least Beast got to interact with everybody. But not frickin' Angel, a guy who's one of the founding members of the X-Men. But at least in X-Men Apocalypse, they at least did a little bit better job with him. Here, it's kind of like Brett Ratner had no... It's like the writer... I don't blame Brett Ratner for this. I blame Simon Kedsberg for this. Where apparently the guy just didn't care about this character. I'm sure this guy is sort of got his fans, but... Of course, not for an ongoing series. But the guy himself is a really good character in the comics. Here, he's just a nothing character. He just shows up for a few scenes, does almost nothing to the plot. It's like he's there just to be there. Yeah. And then after the whole opening scene, and then we cut to the Danger Room. Yes. A room that was actually supposed to be featured in X2 X-Men United, but was cut. Yeah, they cut the Danger Room. We finally see it, and it's basically a version of Days Future Past, and then we hear something in the background, we don't know what the heck it is. And then we see also, for the first time live action, the Fastball Special. I actually asked the actor about this. He heard about it, but he was not prepared to do it at all. Yeah, that's why the Fastball Special looks very sloppy in this movie. Yes, it is very sloppy. It is by far the only time we have ever seen the Fastball Special ever done in these movies, despite the fact it's been a staple of the X-Men comics since the 70s. And your first attempt is to throw Wolverine at something. What is he throwing him at? A freaking Sentinel. Yes, a Sentinel. As a matter of fact, there was a rumor prior to this one coming out the Sentinels were going to be the main villains of this movie. Nope. That idea was dropped. The Sentinels will not make a first appearance until Days Future Past. I was thirsty. Yeah, Taekwondo makes thirsty. Yep. So, yeah, Pyro at the end of the previous movie went out with Magneto and they form a new brotherhood. Plus, they recruited like a whole boatload of people. Yeah, I wouldn't call this the brotherhood. I would call this Magneto's army. Yes. Also on the back of here, he does something in here. He lifts up the freaking Golden Gate Bridge with his own mutants on it and basically puts it on like Alcatraz. And he sees there's a family in the car. Now, I at least got praise the fact Magneto is not known for killing families. He just locks the doors and leaves them alone. As far as I can tell, he does crush some cars, but it's never shown if he crushes that car, but I don't think he does. I mean, yes, I don't think he would ever harm children at all. I at least got praise the fact you actually have Ian McKellen doing that. Though Magneto is written to be somewhat of an idiot in this movie. Like, how much of an idiot is he? Well, how about the fact he basically establishes headquarters in the frickin' woods? Yes, I'm kind of like, Brett Ratner, you do know he had his own base operations in the first film. And this film, he's living out of a frickin' tent for some reason. No idea why. I mean, first he shows up at the facility at a building where he's gathering of mutants basically to test about the cure. Yes, where's your mark? And he rolls up his sleeve and he shows him his concentration camp number on his arm, which every single that portion. See, fun fact about that particular thing. Anybody with concentration camp had that number put on there. The only reason I know because I've read about it. Yeah, but that part is true. I at least got praised the fact they actually did a little bit of research when it comes to that, because anybody who's a Holocaust survivor has that mark on their arm. Yeah, though I think a lot of people who did survive the Holocaust have since passed away over the years, but that's Magneto for you. Yep. Yeah, at least got praised the fact Ian McKellen is portrayed to be pretty competent the whole movie, with the exception of him having base operations in the frickin' woods. Oh, and okay. As for the whole thing with Jean Grey and Mystique. Yeah. Okay. The thing with this. Cyclops, who is basically very depressed about the death of his I think it's his wife. They never established their relationship very clearly in the movie. Like, at one movie they established they're engaged. Kind of like, when the heck did that happen? Because that's the thing when it comes to this film series. The relationship between Cyclops and Jean Grey is there, but it never gets any progression at all. That's one thing that is, in my opinion, one of the biggest problems with these first three films. I mean, we have it where Jean Grey and Cyclops are a couple, okay? But as for the development of this relationship, there's nothing. Yes, there's freaking nothing. So Cyclops is mourning over the death of his, let's say his girlfriend. Which is not the first time this has happened. So he goes off to Acolyte Lake, fires his optic blast off, and then Jean Grey pops up out of nowhere, makes out with him, and then his face starts dissolving somewhat. They don't clearly define what the heck happened to him. Later on, when Wolverine and Storm go to the Alcalay facility, hi.
What are you doing?
Recording a video. Can you close the door, please, Bailey? Anyways, yes. So she comes out, and of course, Jean Grey is found by Wolverine and Storm, taken back, and apparently something is wrong with her. Yes, and this is what comes to one of my personal biggest gripes of this movie. Okay, we have the cinematic debut of the Phoenix Force, and you will not believe what it is. It's an alternate personality of Jean Grey. Oh my gosh. Kensberg, what the heck is wrong with you? The Phoenix Force is not an alternate personality of Jean Grey. It's a frickin' space bird. Why the heck would you portray the Phoenix Force like this for? It's so frickin' stupid. It's one of the most baffling things. Like, oh, we have to get it contained. Yeah, the way that Patrick Stewart portrays Xavier, it's kind of like, okay, now here's kind of the strange thing about this particular scene. If you watch the previous two films, Xavier has never developed this, is never shown to do this at all. It's like Brett Ratner had an okay idea what to do with Xavier. He's probably by far the only character aside from Jean Grey. He just did not have any idea what to do with him. It's like, okay, let's make Xavier like very secretive. We have to keep Jean Grey under control. Why? Oh yeah, we have this other personality of the Phoenix. We have this other personality, Jean Grey, called the Phoenix. Jean Grey never had this in the comics. She never had a personality problem. She was influenced by the Phoenix Force. It was not an alternate personality. I'm like, did Kensberg rip this off of frickin' Legion? I think he did, which I think is stupid. This is not one of Jean Grey's powers. She's a freaking telepath, for crying out loud. And they have it where the Phoenix Force, which has her eyes turning black. It's like, okay. They clearly had no idea what to do with the Phoenix Force. Yes, that is my honest opinion. They had an idea what, like, they probably were presented with the idea what the Phoenix Force is, and they were like, nope, we're going to go with our idea, and it's really stupid. Yes. So, and then later on, she escapes the Xavier Institute. So we have it where Wolverine and Storm, and I think Colossus goes with them too, along with Xavier, and Magneto's group, which consisted of. Now, here's the thing: how they introduce the Juggernaut in the movie is quite interesting. Like, apparently they're looking for Mystique, okay? Because Mystique got captured off screen at some point. Yeah, it's not clearly explained. And they have a move on this prison truck, okay? I'm sure this prison truck has to be stopped at some place, like refuel. Why the heck is it this way? I have no idea. But who the heck else on this prison truck? Why the frickin' Juggernaut is here? Along with Multiple Man, who is a villain in this movie for some reason. Yes, okay, so he's arrested for robbing 5 banks at the same time. Okay. Why is he a member of the Brotherhood? I mean, I get the Juggernaut. At least he was part of the just prior to the finish of this movie. But in the case of Multiple Man, not really. Yeah, here's kind of the thing. Now, I'm looking him up right now. Has he been with the Brotherhood in the comics? The answer is no. He has never had association with the Brotherhood at all. Yeah, this by far, in my honest opinion, was another thing they really did stupid in this movie. Okay, so apparently it took inspiration from the ultimate version of this guy. Okay, now here's kind of thing. Not many people would have known about the ultimate version of Multiman. Some people only familiar with him prior to this movie. My personal theory is that prior to this movie, that we're only familiar with him thanks to the series X Factor with Peter David. That's probably by far how people are familiar with the character prior to this movie coming out. But it's like, okay, we see it where Jay Mandrake is a hero and leader of X Factor, and you see in this movie he's a bank robber. Okay, he doesn't do very much in the movie until he gets supposedly killed off. Yeah, the Juggernaut does his whole thing of, I'm the Juggernaut, Bitch. Yes, which apparently is a play on an old YouTube video. Or someone put together clips and basically do its introduction to everybody. Yep. As to how the Juggernaut looks in the movie, he's okay. I think his helmet is a bit too small. Yes. I at least gotta praise the fact Deadpool 2 did a lot better job of the Juggernaut than this movie did. It's like, okay, we have Vinnie Jones being the Juggernaut, and he does an okay job. Aside from the fact that they don't cover his face and his helmet's too small, one problem they have with him in the movie is that there's no mention of him being related to Xavier. Yeah. This is my opinion, one of the biggest flaws with the character, and probably by far for a lot of people, the dumbest thing about Juggernaut, there's no mention of his relation to Xavier because at every single alternate version of this character, he's always been at some point related to Xavier. Like usually his
Hello.
Thank you.
It's my candy.
Uh-huh. Anyways, yes. Sorry for the interruption here. Yeah. So they confront Jean Grey at this house, which by the way they still show us in a flashback, where it's implied this takes place about 10 years prior to the first film, so probably the 90s or 80s. We see Stanley making a cameo, a very memorable cameo, where he just see him with a hose. But it's okay, he doesn't require any lines, but his cameos tend to be so hilarious anyways. So apparently Jean Grey had these problems when he was younger. Okay. Yeah, no, this is not Sophie Turner. This is years over the cast here. This is the person who plays the young Jean Grey. No, it's not Frankie Jameson. Yeah, it's somebody else. She is played by Haley Rem. Yeah, that's who played the younger version of this character. Yeah. So they go back to this house, ask what happened to her parents. Like, you see her in the flashback, like, the Greys. You see her parents, and in present day, they disappear. It's implied they have died since then. They don't clarify exactly what happened to them. So, yeah, so they show up at the house. We see Magneto and Xavier go inside. Jean Grey gets nuts when Professor Xavier tries to do his old possession thing again, which is something he never done before in the movies. And then Jean Grey kills him by vaporizing him. Heck, even thank you. Yes. Yeah. So yeah. So I was say yes. Magneto is shocked by this, but he takes Jean Grey along. But he's saddened by the death of his friend. So they have like the Brotherhood and the X-Men have a brief skirmish, but the Brotherhood leaves. So that's when they have the big army thing. So they had to protect the Cure, which made the news. Yeah, a lot of people point, even the comics, they even call the Cure complete bullcrap. When it's like, oh yeah, Cure, there's nothing wrong with us at all. It's just the way that for. I mean, in the movie, it's supposedly the reason why they did this because of Warren Warrington's like suppressing his son's power. In the comics, it was a political gain. Yep. Oh yeah, and fun fact: there's a scientist that works for Angel's dad who was supposed to be Colin Reyes, but they changed it to some other like one-shot character. Yeah, and they also have Khaleesi in the movie, who for some reason doesn't act like Khaleesi in the comics. Like apparently she can detect other mutants and she can run. She also has super speed, which is from two different characters. Yeah, that's the thing with Callisto. So we had the big battle at Alcatraz, where the X-Men decided to help out the Warrington Industries troops for some reason. Probably because they felt like protecting it because the Cure is a little boy who can block powers. Yeah, the way they have Hank McCoy introduced him is quite interesting. He's like, I'm Hank McCoy, and he turns his skin back to normal. He just doesn't say anything about it, but even he's surprised about it because it's implied in the film he can't exactly turn his skin back to normal like he does in the comic books, which I think it's implied Kel Segura may have done some research on Beast, which at least got praised him for that. And in fact, you see him running around, flipping, like, he does a lot of stuff the Beast has done, no for new comics, like hanging upside down with his feet. Yes, I at least got praised for that. Kel Segura does a lot of research in this character. And there's also a joke about about the suits being too tight, despite the fact this is the first time we see him wear these suits. So, they had this big battle, and we have them, like the X-Men, take on this big, humongous mutant army. And of course, Juggernaut wants to join them in the big, humongous charge. He's like, and Magneto's like, no, let the pawns go first. Basically, referring the entire army as pawns. Oh yeah, and a lot of the scientists are simply taken out pretty easy. Like one of them, I think it's like the one supposed to be Cecilia Reyes. She's killed by Spike. Yeah, by him hugging her and then activating his power, and that kills her. Okay. Warren Warrington Jr. is thrown off Alcatraz but saved by his son, which, thank you, Warren, for showing up for no reason at all. Yep. And then, like, it's implied off screen that Rogue took the power to cure after the events, after this battle. Like, and here's the thing. Guess who's the one who the power? Now, apparently, Magneto gets affected. Now, Magneto isn't the first person. Now, first they have it go on Mystique. And she gets cured, and we see Rick Reyes sort of in the news says, and she's like, oh, he's like, oh, he just basically, oh, you guys know used to me. He's like, and she was so beautiful. Very heavily implying these two had a sexual relationship, something that was barely expressed in the movies at all. And the next time we see Mystique, she is talking to the government, selling out Magneto, and she's wearing clothes. Yep. Magneto gets the cure in the movie, and here's the thing. Guess who's the one who basically puts the cure in him? Why, it's Beast of all people who does it. Not Wolverine, not Colossus, frickin' Beast. The guy who makes his first live action appearance in this movie. Yep. Like, in the case of, they even have a fight between Iceman and Pyro, which I think is so hilarious. And he's like, you should have stayed in school. And then have Iceman cover himself with ice, just like he does in the comics. And he even does the ice slide in here, which I thought was so great he did that. And he just turns out, he just bops him. He says, you should have stayed in school. And Iceman's like, you shouldn't have left. Yeah, I thought that was so funny. How the heck they got the Juggernaut is particularly by far so hilarious. Kitty Pryde gets involved in the act, which I thought was so great. She chases the Juggernaut through the freaking facility. Like, she's running through walls, thanks to Facebook, and here's Juggernaut just blasting through the walls to get the cure guy. And then she's like blocking his power. And then he's taken out. He just knocked out. It's never implied he's killed. It's like, it's so hilarious that it's Kitty Pryde who defeated the Juggernaut, not Colossus. Kitty Pryde, a woman who, as far as I can tell, never fought him in the comic books, but yet she defeats him like in a span of 5 minutes. Yeah. As for the Phoenix, who's going freaking nuts, Who takes her out? Why, it's Wolverine says, "I'm sorry, I love you." And he just stabs her right in the gut. And she dies right there and he screams. Yep. And then later on, she's buried next to Cyclops and Charles Xavier, even though there's no freaking body, he got freaking vaporized. And what happened with Magneto? Well, he was off to play chess. And the movie ends with him just, like, it's implied the cure was temporary for him because he got so much of it. So, he got his powers back, no problem. As for what happened with Xavier, well, there was a guy named P. Xavier who was implied to be Xavier's brother. And he wakes up his body and he says, Mora. And that's the movie for you. Now, I at least got to praise the fact that this movie has a good idea for these characters. Wolverine was pretty decent in this movie. Storm was a heck of a lot better than she was portrayed under Bryan Singer. Magneto was pretty decent of a character. I would say probably the only character, in my opinion, who's probably the weakest, in my opinion, is probably of the villains, is probably Juggernaut. Yeah. I mean, we have a first time hearing this movie, and okay. You have an actor who won't cover up his face. He has none of covering for him, despite the fact Juggernaut's usually covered from head to toe. There's no mention of him related to Xavier. And that funny line. I don't mind the line, it's fine. It's just that some minor flaws. I would say the only other character who really does nothing else. This is what I guess. We have him back in the film. We have Cyclops here, but he's not in the final battle. Yeah, this picture is mostly a lie. I mean, everybody else who's in this picture is at the final battle, but not frickin' Cyclops. Yeah, he left the film just so he could do Superman Returns, playing Perry White's nephew and Lois Lane's fiance. Yeah, and that film, Superman Returns, which no one blames. I mean, certain people, a lot of people, including myself, don't blame Brandon Routh for that film. The weakest of the film was the script. So I would say, performances-wise, the film does a really good job with a lot of the characters. Aside from Juggernaut, the only character that doesn't do much of anything is Colossus. I mean, he at least got praise if he does some fighting. I would say the best character who is not Wolverine in this movie is frickin' Beast. Yeah. Him and Iceman do a fantastic job in this movie because, for one thing, they actually act like their comic book counterparts. Despite the fact they don't wear the damn costumes. Yeah. But I would say the poorest on writing is on Jean Grey. And Professor Charles Xavier, who was completely wasted in this movie. Thank God that Bryan Singer came back for Days of Future Past and redeemed Xavier for this bullcrap. Yep. So, what rating I give this film? I give this film an 8 out of 10. It's a step down from X to X-Men United. But there's a lot of good stuff you can say about this movie. So, what can you say overall the final problem of the movie? Juggernaut has weak writing with him. Jean Grey is freaking terrible. Xavier is written to be not Xavier. It's like he's a different character who's possessive of Jean Grey for no explained reason. Cyclops is wasted. Yeah, he's applied to be killed off screen. Let's see. Any other problems with the movie? The plot of the film is extremely weak. And what else? Let's see. Anything else? No, not really. Yeah, nothing else I can say about this movie. I mean, it's okay. It's not as bad as X vs. Wolverine. I would say this film, if I would rank all the films, like other films titled X-Men, I would rank this film probably second from the bottom. Like, I rank it above these Dark Phoenix. I haven't seen Dark Phoenix yet. I would say the best one is probably either Days of Future Past or probably X2. But I'll get my final ranking when I get a chance to talk about Dark Phoenix. Whenever I get a chance to see the movie. But yeah, that's it for this particular review. My next review, I'm going to talk about the final film featuring Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Logan. I'll talk about that soon. But my next video I'm going to do, but I'm not going to do it soon. The next video I'm going to do, but I'm not going to do it next, but I'll do it soon. Review of the newest episode of the 7 Deadly Sins, okay? See you next view. Bye.